So I thought I hit record a little bit earlier than this. I did some snatches before this. I got up to 40 kilos on the snatch, some power snatches, some overhead squats, some full snatches. I then went for dense, 5 reps on the minute back squat with 3 presses. Actually, I did 5 reps on the back and then 5 presses at 40 kilos. Now, it's very lightweight, but it's also tough. It's like 30 seconds, 35 seconds on, 25 seconds off. And I don't really have the conditioning for it at the moment. So that extra little wrestle, getting the bar on the back as well, all adds up when you're training on the minute. Now, I really like this style of training for building a foundation, building a base. I am interested in having decent conditioning as well as some strength and some size. So these are good for size. They're good for rebuilding a base of conditioning to be able to tolerate the amount of work that I want to tolerate, to be able to lift some heavy weights. So it's a nice little sequence. I really like the dense style of training. When you put 2 movements in the same minute, then you really start to challenge your recovery capacity, especially standing press. You can't really breathe that well. Back squats, you can sort of breathe okay, but you're kind of holding your breath for part of that as well. So that's what makes it tough. As I'm watching the time go by here, it seems like I'm going faster than the minute as well, but whichever way, they were pretty tough. I'm really happy that I'm able to keep my knees forward like this. I can feel my ankles opening up. That's a good thing. They could probably be a little bit snappier with this sort of weight, but I'm really just looking to dominate the weight and feel comfortable in the positions at the moment. That's what it's really about. Rebuilding some work capacity. Also nice to get some sun. It is actually not cold here, so it was kind of justified yesterday to have the shirt off. So then I went up to 50 kilos and I did 3 reps on the back and 1 rep of the press. And I think just because I built up quite a bit of lactic acid from the snatches and then from the back squats and the presses, then these were fairly tough as well. I think just because I was sort of heaving as I was going through. But the main thing is I'm building that work capacity. So the amount of work that we can tolerate is a really important indicator for muscle size, and also how well we're going to tolerate the super heavy stuff. So Louis Simmons is a big advocate for general physical preparation, building that base of being able to lift a tonnage. So these, you can accumulate a decent amount of tonnage despite not having that much weight on the bar, which is what I'm ready for at the moment. So sitting down is a bad sign. I was pretty rattled, as much as it looks like it's okay because it's not that heavy. Essentially, I was struggling quite a bit with this work, and I could feel it yesterday afternoon as well, that I'd sort of done a little bit more. And it's a different kind of work to doing the hills. I've been doing quite a few hills. I wouldn't say I've been training hard on the hills either. So maybe I just need to knuckle down to a bit more conditioning. But it is nice to have that base of conditioning, and as in the ability to repeat work as well as strength. And as much as this doesn't look like I'm training strength, I can guarantee you my 1RM is going up day by day, just training like this, because my body's getting used to the movement again. It's becoming comfortable, second nature to lift, and my back feels better. It felt a bit sore after the first couple of days. Continuing to train twice a day, my back feels better than it did at the start, and probably than it would if I'd rested as well. You can't really know that, but nothing. I haven't been doing anything heavy, so there's no reason why my back should bother me. I'm just getting used to these positions again. And yeah, it feels great to be able to use the positions again. I would love it if this was 100 kilos, and I think it's not too far off to be able to handle 100 kilos like this. The biggest challenge would probably be to clean it and press it straight behind the neck in one movement like that. It's probably not going to happen at 100 kilos, but can definitely kind of push press it over to the back. But yeah, having deep thoughts. It's just not enough time to recover once you start to hurt when you're going on the minute like that. It's not long enough. So we continue. Notice I'm really lifting with the legs. I didn't used to be able to lift like this. My squats didn't used to look like this. You can really thank the ATG system for being able to finally use my legs. Now my legs aren't strong, so the numbers aren't great, but I can get the positions. I could get strong legs using the ATG system as it stands. But I really enjoy bilateral training. I enjoy barbell training, and I've got some issues. I've had some issues with my pubic symphysis, so I don't really want to go heavy on the split squats or any of the single leg work just yet. I'm just letting that settle down because it's it's pretty horrible. I think I started up with doing this lateral split work without preparing well for it, and also doing some forward splits. But dense strength is the way that I've been able to develop strength most effectively. So 5 sets on the minute or 10 sets on the minute, and either using sets of 5 or sets of 3 or sets of 1. That's been the way that I've been able to progress strength most effectively. And there's lots of other guys who will say that those sub-maximal rests with high density training has been very effective for them to develop strength and power as well. So that's what I'm doing at the moment. 2 movements on the same minute. It's testing work capacity a bit more, and it's nice and light. So that's it. I thought I was getting to the end of that, and I did. All right, so I went in for a swim. It's very cold. It's in the water. I don't know what it is, maybe 8 degrees or something like that. It's a challenge to hold my breath under the water. I challenged myself with that, to swim lengths underwater. Here's a 60 kilo band press. This is when I pressed 82.5, my best ever standing press. I was using these in the preparation for it, so I'm definitely going to continue to use bands, and I'm writing an article at the moment about bands and chains, who are the people that believe most in them, who are the people that don't believe in them so much. And that post is somewhere in my Instagram archive. But yeah, back on the bands. So this setup I actually learned from Coach Wooden, who's a elite level power lifter based in the UK, Polish guy, met through the Poliquin system. We actually roomed together over in, where was it? In Rhode Island, when we went to the weightlifting workshop with John Bros. So yeah, it's funny, I'm back on this kind of train every day, squat every day type of buzz. That John Bros was really one of the big guys to popularize the train every day method. If you check out some of the results that his lifters have had, even 12, 13-year-olds, crazy numbers. So I went for 10 sets of 10 on this. It was about speed and 10 sets of 10 on the minute. I did struggle. You'll see on some of the sets, I pause at the top, have to pause at lockout. I'm a huge fan of using the bands. Force equals mass times acceleration. So for a given mass, if you accelerate it more, then you're going to have more force. Force equals mass times acceleration. If acceleration is higher and mass is the same, then you're going to have significantly more force. So what the band does is accelerates the bar on the way down, which means there's going to be more trauma and more adaptation, therefore, to the tendons and the connective tissue component of the muscle. So you're more likely to have an injury if you're training with bands, but that also means you're more likely to prevent injury if you're training with bands, because you're preparing yourself for higher forces, higher tension that you might meet elsewhere. Only using 2.5 kilos on the reverse flies, but the thing with those reverse flies is you're also working against the tension in your anterior muscles. So as much as they're paperweights, you are actually getting a decent little bit of work there. And because there are lots of sets, and because those muscles are also working to stabilize on the bench, they're getting plenty of work. And again, just building that general physical capacity. So yeah, this is lovely. This is a lovely session. Second session of the day. I did these before we went out for dinner, celebrate the new year with my in-laws, family. But yeah, I played also around with a few different grip widths here. So I did close grip, medium grip, and wide grip. The close grip was by far the hardest because the range of motion is further and the bands become a bigger factor. So yeah, I had to pause on these, holding it lockout. It's not heavy, but yeah, serious burn and challenge to lock out. Once it's locked out, you can sort of recover a little bit. But yeah, it shows you I was relatively close to max, even though it's not a heavy weight, because of the sub-maximal recovery. So it's only 40 kilos on the bar. It's paperweight on the bar, but the band makes a significant difference, and I got a lot of work done. So time will tell whether I press a new weight. My best ever bench, I think, is 125 or 127. I don't think I've pressed 130. I don't know, somewhere around there. So yeah, if I 135 or 140, I'll know that I'm in my best ever bench pressing shape. I'm more of a long arms kind of guy. And yeah, it took me a long time to get to even having 60 kilos on the bar. It took me a while. And then having 100 kilos on the bar took years. It was years and years before I had 100 kilos. But yeah, I'm probably overdue to get to 140 kilos, so let's see. I then went for back squats, and so these are not accelerated. And I set the timer for 8 minutes, and I had the metronome going, and every 3 seconds there's a rep cycle. So the idea is to go down for 2, up for 1, but I always end up pausing a little bit at the top, which is cheating on the protocol, but yeah, it's a rep every 3 seconds anyway. And I thought there was some hope that I might go for 8 minutes on these, and there was not. I did 2 minutes worth, and I can feel my legs today have got like more soreness and heaviness in them. But yeah, is what it is. I have heard and seen a lot of success stories around really high repetition work for squats. As much as I'm looking at the Bulgarian stuff, I'm looking at squat every day, and I love, the West Side, all that sort of stuff. High repetition squats are highly effective, and I'm not ready for intensity, so therefore it's all about volume and feeling the positions, feeling the pattern. It gives you a chance to sort of think about where you're sitting in space and where you're pushing through and all those sorts of things as well, and really contemplate whether you do actually care about training or not, because yeah, it becomes uncomfortable. You don't want to keep going, but that's where I got to, and yeah, I'm glad that I did them. I'm a little bit embarrassed that I only lasted for 2 minutes, but that's the game. That's